I wanted to talk for a second about the TKC80s. This is my first time running off-road tires on a GS. I've always ran street biased tires, and now that I've had 1,200 miles in these, I wanted to talk about them briefly and give you my thoughts. And just to cover, so I'm on a normal GSA, normal height suspension, standard OEM shocks with ESA. I'm 6'3", I weigh 250. When I ride, if I'm not going somewhere to spend the night, I never put boxes on my bike. I'll wear a backpack, but I won't put boxes on. I find boxes to be, it makes the bike less agile, more wind resistance, etc. So I like as lightweight as possible, given that I'm a heavy guy. I ran these at 39 on the front and 43 on the rear. A lot of you run them lower. Continental and BMW both recommend that. I called 3 dealers. They all 3 recommended the same PSI that I'm running them at. And I tried them lower one day, and the hum in the handlebars, when I would lean about 5 degrees to the left or the right, the hum that developed in the handlebars was annoying, and I didn't find any better off-road traction in that setting. I was running them at 36, 39 that day. So 39.43 is what I'm going with now. And they perform much better on the highway, better gas mileage, and no discernible difference in off-road handling. But the advantage of running that spec is that I have a lot more pressure to fight off rocks, unexpected rocks coming up and bending my wheel from low pressure. So let's go over the tread life remaining after 1,200 miles. That's about 300 off-road, 700 on-road. To the rear. So you've got definite reduction here. I've lost about half of the center treads. You can see out as we move out how it drops down here. So about half on the outside, about 80%, only half on the inside, 80% on the outside. And then on the side, you can see that the way I was riding, I was definitely running this bike all the way to the middle of here. I never touched the outside except for when I was in clay, but I shaved about 20% off this edge right here. So covering the whole gamut. It's pretty uniform as far as the wear all the way around. And that kind of continues as you go around the tire there. All the same. Let's do the front. I do get a little bit of vibration on the rear in my foot pegs in that same 5-degree angle no matter what PSI I'm running. So we've got the same issue here. You can see right there you've got a little bit of wear. You've got a lot of wear there. I mean, this is basically filed down like sandpaper right there. And then we've got some bunching right there on the front. In the center treads, got some bunching there. As far as the front, I would say I wore about 30% off. You've got some smoothing of the edges too. It's not as blocky as it once was. It's blocky there, but on this side it's not as blocky. But as you move around, you know, wore all the way to the sides there. Okay, so let's talk about some of the, I won't change too many angles, I'll just hold the angle here for a second. They are probably the best tires I've ever had for if you're a person that stays completely off the interstate and you spend even 20% of your time on gravel, sand, mud, dirt, in that order, and another half of your time on sub 60 mile per hour, well, back roads that are speed limited at 40, but you occasionally touch 60 on back roads, that's fine. If you average about 50 on back roads, lots of twisties, on and off of gravel, really tight turned dirt roads around mountainsides, river crossings that are, you know, come up to, you know, here on your bike. If that's the kind of riding you're doing, these are the greatest tires you're going to run for that. They are excellent in all regards. I'll put some pictures here. You can get all the way leaned over where you can touch the ground with your knee if you wanted to, and these will not break out for you. On the GSA, liquid cooled, in a straight line, if I launch, not by dropping the clutch, but just, you know, take off normally and then give it a good solid 80% throttle, the TSC or traction control light will come on without a doubt no matter what mode you're on, rain, road, or dynamic. And in corners you can't really push the throttle in 100% or 80%. until you're at the last 20%, right past the apex. You can start giving it gas and you're good to go, no issues at all. If you give it gas a little prematurely, and not like little blips, but a solid gas, you will have your traction control light come on, but it won't lose traction, you won't low side, just to be clear on that. Very predictable handling, without a doubt, because the way these are designed. You're not gonna, the fall over, effort it takes for it to fall over. When you come into a turn, you do a left to pick your body up and force the bike over to the right. It's not going to roll over to the right for you like a sport bike tire, or even like a sport touring tire would. You're going to have to shift your body really rapidly to make whoom, whoom, for this to work out for you. And I'm a big guy, so I have a lot less problems with this than some people do, but some people that are smaller stature with a lot less weight have a problem getting that shift to work out for them. I saw it myself. I was with 12 female 1200 GS riders and about 13 or 14 male 1200 GS riders throughout last week for all 1100 miles. And the smaller people weren't able to. We all had knobbies. We all had TKC80s on. Weren't doing the same speeds that the bigger guys were doing, just because we could throw these bikes around a lot easier. So, confidence inspiring. I had to learn how to manage the throttle a little bit better. I would say once an hour the traction control light came on, only when I was in a straight line. I learned in the curves how to manage it, but it didn't stop me from making curves at the right speed. I just couldn't come out of them at the speed that I wanted, just to make that completely clear. Highway riding. So I did 70 miles each way to Asheville, and on the interstate, on 40 I think, and set the bike to cruise control. Above 80 when I was passing people, the vibration coming through to my hands and my feet, the overall hum, it wasn't the Anaki 3 hum where it's like a screaming banshee. It's more of a low bass hum, and it really got annoying. It made me for a moment thinking I'm just gonna get off the interstate and take back roads, and it'll take me an extra hour, but I really don't want to deal with this anymore. And so these are not tires that I would want to spend all day on the interstate at 65 to 80 miles an hour. It just was not any fun. The gas mileage, no change with the Anaki 3s to these in gas mileage. They are quieter on back roads. They're quieter below 60 miles an hour. They handle, in my opinion, just like Anaki 3s, except for the turn in. The fall radius, the way they fall into the turns, was not as good as I mentioned, but as far as their abilities, they are able to do the same exact things the Anaki 3s are do. But when we were in clay, mud, sand, going over rocks, going over puddles, going through rivers, downhill on thick, goopy, wet clay, these tires did not let me down. They were able to clear any dirt easily. The outside here flexes in when you're on them, so they really kind of fall more than you would think. And they do have a nice curvature to them, but getting from one side over to the other is a lot of effort. So I'll conclude with these are the best all-around tires if you're a 50-50 rider that does not do long days on the interstate. If you're going to do long days on the interstate, if you're going to go on a road trip where you're going to do 2,000 miles on that road trip and see dirt for 100 of those miles, switch over to the Anaki 3s, switch over to the Conti Trail Attack 2s, switch over to TKC80s or the K60 Scouts. I think are pretty 80-20 tires, and do those instead. The vibration in your feet and your arms is going to thank you. You're going to have a lot quieter ride, a more stable ride at high speeds, and your speed limit, the speed rating, will be higher. These are 99 mile per hour tires, which means they're rated to do 99 miles an hour for 1 hour before they need to be replaced. So if you're touching the 99 mile per hour mark regularly, then consider replacing them before the treads are gone, because these are bias ply tires, not radial tires. What I'm going to do personally, I'm going to see these through to the end, and it's going to be a compromise for me, because if I have the opportunity to go somewhere that requires the interstate, I'll end up taking the car, or I'll try to figure out a way to leave earlier so I can get to places on time by taking back roads. I will not interstate these tires except for my 1 mile on the interstate per day where I commute to work. They're just not any fun for interstate riding at all. It's doable, but you're just wasting money. I mean, you're just going to be burning down the front of these things. You're going to be hitting that speed limiter. Well, I do sometimes. And and you're gonna not be comfortable when you're doing it. So it's just not a tire for that. And after these are spent, I think I'm gonna go with TKC80s. I would like to own, I'm saving up to get a second set of GSA wheels from Woody's, in which I will keep on that set TKC80s without a doubt. These are the tires I'm going to keep in my off-road set of wheels. But during the week, I'll be running TKC70s or something that's more sport touring from Michelin or Continental on my OEM set of wheels. And then on the weekends, when I'm going to spend all weekend on dirt, these are the tires for me. So I hope this was helpful to people that are considering it. I mean, I feel as if I can make a really good claim to these now that I've ridden on them for 1,200 miles in a week on 30 degree, well, I've ridden them from 4 degrees Fahrenheit all the way to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. I've ridden in clay, mud, sand, rock, gravel, around twisty roads that are single track, around mountains that are just gravel and ruts, deep ruts that come up to here, just everything, and then including 200 miles of highway interstate. So that's my review. Thanks for watching, and the bike performed wonderfully. These tires are amazing. They are brilliant. I would not do a road trip longer than an hour on the interstate in these things. I would honestly hate it. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Rock on.